Hey, what up, y'all? I am Lou, and today we're gonna be going over how to do a brute force attack on an Excel sheet. So I made a video a while back on unlocking, Excel sheets, right? So sometimes you're able to put in a password to kind of protect the sheet of an Excel file, not the actual file itself, but where the sheet it's protected, or maybe there's a cell that's protected and you can't edit and modify it. So I made a video on how to get that unlocked. Because it's really simple because the file it's not password protected, more so the sheet, and there's ways to to get into the actual XML structure and ultimately change the right settings to get it to be unprotected. Um, But I got a request from one of my viewers, somebody that watched. Oh yeah, also talking about my channel. Follow me. Anything you could do, man. I mean, very much appreciated on my side. So they had an issue where it was more so related to an Excel file that was encrypted, that was password protected. So in those cases, it's slightly different because when you actually save a file, there's a way to add a password to it. And what happens is it's not in its normal format anymore. Those of you who may not be aware of, Excel is really a zip file. It has a lot of XML files in there, for styling, for the data, etc. But at the end of the day, it's just a zip file, right? With text files in it. That's all it is. There's nothing special, more to that. But once you encrypt it, that's not the case. It's not a zip file no more. You cannot unzip it because it's a zip file. I mean, my bad. It's a encrypted file. So in those cases, there's really no way to unlock it unless you know the password. So what do we do in those cases? We have to do a brute force attack, and that's what I'm going to show you now on how we could implement a brute force attack. Now there are some downfalls, and I'll explain to you at the end of the video what those are doing the a brute force attack. But nevertheless, let me just show you how to implement it, show you some of the concerns of why you may not be still may not be successful potentially, right? I mean, it just depends, but I'll explain that as we go on. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So I have this list of password files. Very basic, as you could tell, right? You got a list of 7 different passwords in my list. All this is just a text file with a list of passwords. Either way, I got a password list. You could tell just nothing special, just different passwords. Let me go ahead and close out of that. I'm going to create a new file, and let's call this brute force py, brute force excel py. All right, so now we have this file. Oh yeah, also before we get started, there's a few things that I need to do. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me open up the terminal. All right, let me go into this folder. Alright, so one of the things I need to do, because there is a specific package that we're going to be using for this, which is Win32. So if you're not familiar with this package, this is pretty much a package for Windows API access on your machine. This could control, literally, you could open up files, like literally just open up any files you want to have something more programmatic. In this case, we're accessing an Excel file, and then of course we're going to try to, you could access the values from Excel and so on. But it doesn't have to be Excel. It could be Outlook. It could be PowerPoint. It could be Notepad. I mean, the list goes on. There's a lot of different ways to use this. So, I mean, it's a nice tool to use. I would recommend taking a look at it, especially if you're trying to automate stuff within Windows. This may help you out. So, but this is what we're going to be using in our case. So let's go back. Because it is a package I need to install, I always recommend doing a virtual environment. I do not recommend using um, your main environment that you have on your local machine. That when you install a virtual environment, those of you who may not be familiar with, think of it as they're just taking a copy of what's already in your machine and it's isolating it to this other folder. And you can add all your packages there. And then ultimately, it just, anytime you're dealing with different versions, they don't contradict each other. And it's, trust me, it is the, from a, professional standpoint, that is a must do no matter what. So let's go ahead and do it. So Python env. We're gonna put in the same folder. All right. So now I'm going to activate it. env source activate. And then now I'm going to do a pip install Win32. Let's get that installed. This is actually a big package too. Compared to other ones, this is actually pretty big. You can tell 9.3 megabytes. So, all right, so now it's done. Cool. Let's move on. Now that we have that installed, now we can go ahead and get started on bringing that in. So let's see. Import Win32com client. Oops. Import Win32com client. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to specify two things. I'm going to specify my Excel file, which I don't have yet. So let's go ahead and create that. But also I'm going to specify my password file, which is this guy, password. So I guess before we do that, let's create an Excel file. All right. Let's just put something random, right? I'm going to call it name. And we're gonna call this age John Peter 33, right? Something basic, nothing fancy. But at least now we have some data. We have our workbook. What we're gonna do next is we're gonna do a save as. I'm gonna save it. And I'm gonna call this let's call this sales reps. All right, so now that we have the file name, under this tool section next to save, there's a way to do general options. And it's gonna ask in this case for a password to open and a password to modify. So let's go ahead and give it one of these passwords that we have. I'm gonna pick let's pick this guy. That's gonna be my password to open and my password to modify. Then I'm gonna hit OK. Re-enter my password. And now I could save. Cool. So now I'm going to close out of it. So I want to show you how it's going to look. If I try to open it up, what should happen, I should get this box, right? It's asking me for a password. So again, just to kind of make sure that we're all on the same page, the way I added a password on this file was not the same way you add a password traditionally. So traditionally, when you want to add a password to, let's say, protect your sheet, right? You want to protect the sheet. You go to, where is it? The data. no, it's under review, and they could password protect the sheet or even the workbook, right? You know, even though you password protect this workbook, it's not encrypted. Like, you are putting a password, but it's not encrypted, which means it still is a zip file. And then you could, there's other ways to, you know, unzip it and go into the structure and remove that password logic. But when you do it the way we just did it right now, that is actually encrypting the file. And just to kind of show you, we go back to the Excel sheet. Let's see. Let me do a copy and paste, right? What should happen here, and this is with any Excel file that's valid, when you make it a zip, you should be able to open it up, but I can't because it's invalid, right? So I just kind of, you know, I just want to make sure that at least that piece makes sense to everybody. Call it test, and let me save this, right? I'm going to save this same folder where we're at. So let's call this, I'm going to call it test. You could tell I'm not putting no password or nothing, just normal file. Yep, test. Close that away. Yep, here it goes right here. So this file, let me just make a copy of it. If I were to make it a zip, as you can tell, there's other files in here, because again, it still is a valid zip file. And then you could go into the structure, and ultimately, if it's password protected, it will be in one of these XML files, and then, you know, you can, you know, remove that logic, and it becomes unprotected. But because this is not a zip file no more, because I actually put the password that I added onto this file, it actually encrypted the file, which means it's no longer a text file. Now it's actually a binary file, and because of that, the only way you could access it if you know the password. It's really as simple as that. Like, if you encrypt your Excel file the way I did and add a password to it, there's no way to unlock it unless you know the password. Man, it's really that simple. Like, you're screwed. You are screwed if you don't have the password. And it sucks, right? Because if you have somebody that's managing a file that's at your job, and something happens to that person, they quit, they die, and they're the only one that knows the password, now it's like, what the hell? I mean, that kind of stuff, to avoid it, you need to have some sort of, you know, password management software anyways, in my mind, if you're going to be doing that. But still, now we're, you know, again, to access it, you would need the password. So what we're going to do, we're going to try doing a brute force attack on it, and let's see how that plays out. Remember, I gave it this password with the password that I assigned it. So that's the one that we're looking for in order for it to actually work. So let me call this Excel file password file. So let me go in and specify this. This is my password file, and what is this? Passwords.txt. Oops. And this one is called sales reps XLSX. Alright, so now I've got my two files in place. So now let's go ahead and we're going to create an instance for our Excel, which would have been wincom dispatch Excel application. Okay, so just so you know, remember, this wincom package that we're dealing with, it's a Windows API. It has nothing to do with being exclusive to Excel. I mean, it's not exclusive for Excel. It's not like open, what is it? Open, damn it, open PY Excel, or what's the other one? XR ls, or I'm trying to think. I think that's the name of the package. It's not, again, it's not a package that's specifically um, for Excel. It's a Windows API which could access an Excel application. It could access a Notepad application. It could access Outlook. I mean, the list goes on and on. So in this case, it just happened to be we're dealing with Excel. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create a Python list object that's going to be blank. So I'm gonna have this list object be blank because we're gonna add passwords to it. So next will be open password file, read, encoding UTF-8. Again, depending on what kind of passwords you have. Password. Passwords, and this would be read lines because we're going to read each line of the file. Remember, this is a text file that I'm dealing with up here. So damn, I'm missing an S. There you go. So next I'm going to do a for loop for password in passwords, and I'm going to append to my list password new lines. So there is, again, there's new line characters here. You can't see it, but because there is each value is on a new line, there's a new line character at the end of each value. So that's kind of why I'm doing this whole remove the new line character if it exists, right? Alright, so now that I have that, and this is going to be extract passwords from file and load to list object, right? So that's ultimately what we're doing there. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to now iterate over the password. So for password in password list, so I'm going to do a try and accept, and I'll explain why I'm doing a try and accept, because we're going to be trying different passwords, and what happens is there's a step in the process where if the password not valid, it actually errors out. So because of that, that's what I'm doing, a try and accept. So just kind of continues on and try it. There's an error, move on to the next one. There's an error, move on to the next one. And if there's not an error, then I want it to display to show the password, then also quit the Excel instance, and then close, quit the process. So that's ultimately what we're doing here. So let's do workbook, Excel workbooks, open, and in this case we're going to open our Excel file. One of our parameters is going to be false, true, none, and then it's going to be password. Okay, I'm trying to remember what these parameters are. I know this is a file, then we have false, true, none, but I know the last one is password, which is why I'm passing that in. I just can't remember what the other ones are. So the next thing we're gonna do is workbook on protect, oops, password, and if that, so this piece is gonna work for every password we attempt. Whenever it comes to the unprotected piece, this is where it's not going to work for every password unless it's a valid password. If it's not a valid password, it's going to error out, which is why I'm doing the try and accept. So in this case, if it does work out, I'm going to do a print Successful password. Then I'm going to specify the password, whatever that is. So, yep. The next thing that we're going to do is going to be Excel display alerts equals false. So what a display alerts is, since we are technically interacting with Excel here, again, it could be any application, Outlook or whatever, but in this case we're interacting with Excel. It is going to give you a message like, do you want to save, do you want to continue, those kind of stuff when you open up the Excel. You know, passing the password. If you have success, it is going to tell you, oh, do you want to save? And you could have it where it's like, hey, if you unlock the password, then you could do it, go ahead and save it while you're at it. As you unlock it, then the password goes away. In my case, I'm trying to just figure out what the password is, then I could just go and unlock it that way. But in this case, I don't want to have the alert to be popping up each time it iterates over a password, which is why I do display alerts false. Then the final one is going to be quit. Quit means if it's successful, we want to quit Excel, because it is going to leave an instance open if we don't quit. So we want to go ahead and quit it. And then I'm just going to quit my Python script. I mean, why am I getting the squiggly line here? Damn it, I spelled it wrong. Shit. Alright, there it goes. Alright. I think we have everything, man. So again, we're specifying our Excel file that we password protected. Remember, the password that we gave it with this guy right here. We got a password file. We're calling our Excel application, which again, we're using the Windows API. We're putting our password into this list object. We're now iterating over the password. And then now we're gonna do we're gonna try to apply all of these passwords into unlock Excel. Remember, once it finds the password, the process is gonna quit. So what should happen, these bad ones, and maybe I should do that under here. So let's try that out. I'm gonna do print. I'm gonna call it let's call it bad passwords. Yep. And then of course we have a good one. But so what should happen, right, if everything works right, it should be bad, good, and then it should stop. That's what should happen. So let's see how this plays out. Okay, so let's see, make sure everything's saved. Yep, it is. Nope, I don't have Excel open, so let's try it out. Fingers crossed. So what happened here? Seemed like it iterated over twice, but why? All right, either way, let's take a look at it right quick. So what did we do? We did, if it's successful, I think it's fine to put a delay. What am I talking about? Let's do that. I want to import in the sleep. If it is successful, oh man, it's just odd though, man. This should just be quitting. It should be stopping the process. So let's do one. Damn, what did I put it in wrong? Is it not? Oh, it's time. Damn it. Hey, that's my mistake. I haven't done this in a while. It's not sleep, it's time. Shit. I should have known better. Okay, either way, let's try it again. And there it goes. I think that seemed to have helped it out. But either way, just kind of going. Let's go back to it. As you can see, it found the right password. That's the password that I gave it. Right? That was it. So if I go back, let me copy this, because again, that's the password that it told me that it was. And if I open it up, boom, there you go. I have access to the file. So let's do a save as again. Yep, save file, tools, and I'm going to give it another password. So what I want to do though, I want to be able to do, I just want to copy and paste many passwords, because I want to go through a lot of these. Oops. Let's do, I don't know, let's say we have a file of 2,100 passwords. And then I'm going to just pick somewhere randomly. I don't know where. Let's pick somewhere, maybe 1,500. There it goes, 1,500. I'm going to call this Q123 NIOP. This is the password that I'm going to give it. Oops. So let's go ahead and replace this. Damn it, replace this. Boom. All right, so now I have the new password. Let me go ahead and close that out. A new password list, and let's try it out again. Now we got a few more passwords. Let's run through the process and let's try it out. Let's see how long it takes to, what is it doing? We put it around the 1,500 range. I'm not sure how long it would take. I should have probably timed it. So it probably been running for at least 10 seconds. So let's take a look to see. For 2 minutes, and it's still having, there it goes, boom. Look at that password. That's the password that we put in there. That's exactly the password that we put in. So if, as you could tell, this works. If it's able to find the password in the file, it actually works. And it found it. It took about maybe 2.5 minutes or so to find it. But that was out of, what did we say was like 1,500? I think it was like 1,500 passwords. Like we put in the 1,500 range of the list. So that means if it took, let's just say it took 2 minutes and 15 seconds, right? So we're then, that's 120 seconds plus 15, 135 seconds. Let's see, 125 seconds. So that means it's doing 12 passwords a second, right? So that's not a lot. I mean, it's something, of course, but it's not a crazy number. I mean, it's, for the amount of seconds that you have, I mean, it's gonna take a while. Now, there's stuff you could probably do to optimize it, do multi-threading, things of that nature, or split it up. You know, split up the file where you have one file of 1,000,000 passwords and another file with 1,000,000 passwords and things of that nature, and you have all the processes running. Because again, Python only uses one core when it runs processes. You know, I have a Ryzen 3700. Which has 8 cores, but it's not using all 8 cores. So, but either way, as you could tell, it found the password. It's doing what it's supposed to do, and this works. Some of the issues is you don't know what password that whoever used had it. You're gonna need a massive password list. You know, I have this 10 million password. There's not 10 million in here. What do I have? I have 5 million passwords in here. As you could tell just by looking at it, a lot of different random passwords. you know, all kinds of different random lists of passwords. Some of them are just kind of like, these are all supposed to be like popular passwords that a lot of people have been known to use. Man, maybe you use some of these, and if you do, I would strongly recommend to change it. But nevertheless, though, you will need some sort of file like this to kind of iterate over. But I can tell you right now, it's going to be one of the processes where you're going to need a computer, let it run, and it's probably going to take days, weeks, even months, you know, depending on if you're able to get the bigger password file list you're able to get, the better of a chance you're going to have a match eventually. But at the same time, it could take a long time, and that long, I mean, it could be weeks, months, even to crack it. But it does work, so that's the plus side of it. It does work. It may take a while. It just kind of depends. Again, you could tell it's pretty straightforward. We've specified our Excel file, password file. We are using, again, the Windows API to access the Excel application. We put all of our passwords into a list object, which is what we did here. And then we start iterating over each password, and then we start trying each password. And when we have success, we print it out. We did make sure the display alerts is off. Then we quit. We just noticed through our testing we need to put it to sleep. Because what happened, I think, is running too fast, where it runs another list, another password set, which makes it seem like, hey, that's valid too, but it's not. So putting to sleep helps it out. Then of course quit, and then, you know, eventually it'll quit, and then you're good to go. Again, this video came from a request from a viewer. If you have any issues that you need help with, let me know, man. Again, I may make a video as well, just like the way I did this video. And this video was very specific because a viewer reached out to me. You can reach out to me at contact@iamlu.net as well. So if there's anything that you need to ask me for, you want to share with me, but that you may not want to put in the comments, maybe there's some sort of something, right, you want me to look into, but you don't want to, again, share it in the comments, email me, and I'll I'll get your email, and I'll see what I could do. But again, man, I mean, this came from a viewer. I hope the viewer sees this, and hopefully this is beneficial to them. But if you have anything, let me know, man. I'll try to make a video. By all means, man. I mean, appreciate for those of you who watched. Give me a thumbs up. I hope a follow, and there'll be more videos to come. Peace.